Hi everyone. So today I have a lot of glazing to do. And actually this is the glazing that I did. If you watch the kiln unload that was just posted, this is me glazing. I know that I showed the pictures of all the glazes and I explained them all, but I kind of thought that I would keep that as a shorter video for those who like the quick videos or the quicker videos. And I know that some of my videos have been quite long lately, just because they've been making videos. And I kind of thought that some people would maybe appreciate a shorter video, but then I also got thinking, well, why not just video me glazing? Because I don't do that very often. And glazing can sometimes be a questionable process if you're just starting out. So I thought, well, this might be a longer video. And you may not see, I may not show all of my glazing process, but on a couple of them, yeah, I just thought maybe we'll glaze and chat, and because everybody who's watched my channel knows that I can talk. So I just thought, well, why not? We'll do this. And then if you want to watch the longer video, you can. And if you want to just watch the short one, you can do that too. I also toyed with the idea of possibly going live while doing this. But I chickened out. Because my life is so chaotic. I never really know when I'm going to have like a set time to do stuff, or if I'm only going to have 20 minutes to do something and then get pulled in a different direction, because I do work from home for my full-time job. So it would be hard for me to do it would just have to be a scheduled thing on my part. But if that is something that you would be interested in me maybe going live, either with throwing or glazing or making in general, drop it down in the comments, because I'd love to know if that's something that you all are interested in. And also, if you guys are interested, like what kind of glazing things are you all interested in? Are you interested in glazing processes or glazing techniques or just combos or experiments? Like what is what you want to see? Like, because I want to do all the things, but I also want to help others. So in order for me to do that, I kind of want to know what you all are looking for. What are you looking for when it comes to, say, glazing or pottery in general? What are the things that you're looking for? Let me know those down in the comments, because I want to work with that this year. And yeah. But anyway, let's get started, because I do have quite a few things and I'm really excited because like I said, if you watched my kiln unload, you will have known that this made it out nicely, along with the sweetheart mugs. They made it out as well. No cracks or anything on those. Now, the heart mug, she does have a little crack, but she's just for me. So I'm going to go ahead and make her, because, I am. Because I think she's wonderful. And it is a surface crack, because it sounds like it's tingy, but it actually has a nice sound here. It's not really a structural crack. It is more so a surface crack where where my mug body and my handle were just a touch too different, and the coils that I used were, it's not a structural crack, I don't believe, but again, it's just for me. So if it breaks, I don't really care, because I'm so happy with it that I can't not glaze it. And I don't have enough time to make another one. So we're just going to go ahead and do it. And then I'm going to go through all these Valentine's combos that I kind of thought would be really cute to go with the Valentine's Day theme. So yeah, let's get glazing, and let's glaze. Alrighty. So the first mug that I'm going to start with is the tree. Now, if you remember, I did, let me get it here, the daffodil vase in red iron oxide. And this is a great tree color by all means, but I think what I want to do is, I also have black iron oxide. So I think what I want to do is actually do a base a base of red iron oxide, and then I want to do some black, and then I'm going to put birch on the inside and kind of on the top, like a rim around the top, so that it kind of cascades down, I think. Yeah. Anyway, because again, that mug's just for me too. So let me put this one back. Because yeah, red iron oxide looks good, but I think we're going to do some black as well. So let's get started. We're just going to put some gloves on because I don't want to get this all over. And I'm doing this one first so that I can clean up, get it out of the way, and then have everything good to go for the rest of the glazing. I already put my water in my teeny tiny little dish here. And you should wear a mask when you're doing this. I'm not, but you should. So do as I say, not as I do. So I'm not making the black super thick. So I didn't measure any videos that I could find. I really didn't have any measurements. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And I'm just using one of these little tools that comes with any, say, little kit or anything like that that you get. And then just put that to the side when you're done. Don't use anything that you're going to need to use for food again. This will be strictly a iron wash container. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the very bottom as well. So I'm going to start with that. Oh, this is going to look so good. So with the washes, you just kind of put it on. And oh my gosh, that totally comes to life. And like I said, I am going to do some glaze on the very top. So I don't want to get it on the inside. And on any detail parts that you want, you really want to make sure that you do get the glaze on the inside. Because that part, you won't really wash that off. And I also did put a piece of plastic down, just because. Because I just want to make sure that I don't get all of this iron and stuff all over. And just make sure that you get deep in all the grooves, that you don't miss any of the grooves or anything. Because it'll look funny when it's done, if you do. Yeah, I want to get right in here. In these little nooks, I want to make sure that I've got lots in there. Down at the bottom. So I did add just a little bit of water on certain parts. And when you're wiping it off, you may get a little bit more in the cracks too, but just really try to get in there, and that totally changed the look of it. So, so good. Okay, so now I'm going to, oh gosh, so good. So, so good. Look at that. Because you do want to wipe off any excess. And I'm really hoping that if I put this black on here, it's not going to totally wreck it, but that's kind of how you learn. So and you want to remember to use brushes that you don't really care about, because they're going to stain and they're not going to stay very nice. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. Look at that. I think it's great. Now, did I get some on the inside? Yep, sure did. You can try to wash that out. Honestly, good luck. This will, like, you need to be really careful on where you're putting it, because once it's on, it's on. There's no real coming back from that, just so you're aware. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the black. Yeah, why not? What's the worst? It looks bad? Oh well, then I know for next time. So I'm just gonna rinse out my red brush. I hope this works out. I'm thinking, like in my mind, I'm thinking of a tree, because a tree isn't just brown. There's all different colors in a tree. Let's just do the handle and then we'll wipe it off and we'll see what it looks like. And then worst case, it's just the handle we do. Okay, so now let's take our oh yeah, no, we're gonna totally do this. Because, yes, this looks more tree barkish. Yeah, definitely. Perfect. Let's throw that back in there. And because I didn't make it super heavy, I think that also helped a bit to keep the colors a little bit more muted maybe. And I'm not going super heavy everywhere to try to maybe keep it a little like uneven, because a tree bark isn't really like totally even, I guess, if you look at it. I don't know if I'm explaining that right or what my brain is thinking while I'm doing this. But again, if you've watched my channel, you know that I will talk and then half forget what I'm saying, and you know, that's just how I roll. Where you want lots of the detail, just make sure you put it on a little bit heavier. So like for me, I want where the letters are, I want those to really stand out. So I'm just making sure that I put lots there. And I did keep this bottom one. I should have kept the top one open too, but I didn't, I forgot. So that is that. Now let's wash it off and see what we're left with. Oh my goodness. This, I am so happy with that. Look at that. If that doesn't look like a log, oh my Lanta, that looks so good. So good. I'm so happy that I mixed, and like I said, I did the red iron oxide first and then the black iron oxide really watered down so it wasn't very concentrated. Like, look at, oh, you can totally see, like before when I was making this mug, I was like, oh, you can't see where you carved in like the arrow. Yeah, look at that. You totally can. That is so good. So good. So now I'm going to put birch on the outside and then on the inside. And I may even put a matte glaze on the outside, like maybe like one coat of matte glaze, just so that I can only keep the glaze, like the colored glaze contained on the inside, but be able to have this totally protected. I might. Just because, I mean, I don't know if this mug will ever get like actually used. It might not. But I do want to make sure that it's, if it is being used, that it can be used. But matte glazes, they scare me a little bit. Oh my God, I'm so happy with that. That looks so good. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's put that down. That just needs to dry. And you just want to put that elsewhere. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. That looks so amazing. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is with a couple of the little trinky dishes that I do. And then I don't know if you guys have seen, I'm sure you have, because who couldn't? They were the cutest thing on earth. I'm going to put a picture up on the screen over here somewhere of the inspo pic. Now, I don't know who the original creator is. I will never ask a creator that doesn't share glazes. I will never ask for that glaze. Not ever. Because I don't feel like if they're not willing to share it online themselves, they don't want to share it. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I share my recipes because I do find that no matter who does it, they're always going to turn out a little bit different. And that's my thing. I like sharing what I'm doing. But for those who don't share, absolutely, I will never ask them because they put in the time, they put in the effort. Will I try to do it myself if I want to? Yeah, I'll try to figure it out, but I'm going to put that time and that effort and the money of the glaze testing and stuff like that into it. So, that's just my opinion. I will never ask somebody for their glazes if they don't share them. Anyway, I also don't know who the original creator is. So if you do know who the creator is, by all means, please do drop them in the comments, because I always want to give credit due where it's deserved, for sure. But this is what we're going to do. So like I said, I'm going to put it up here. This is what I want to try to do. Now, I think I want to do it on I want to do two different things. No, I'm going to make a set so that they at least look the same. Anyway, my thought is I'm going to use Flux Blossom. Now, these are on speckled clay, so I don't know what that's going to look like as well, because I should have done these on non-speckled clay, but nonetheless, they're speckled. So I'm going to use Flux Blossom as the base, and I'm going to do 3 coats of Flux Blossom. Then I'm going to use Wine About It in Stroke and Coat, and I'm going to create the hearts. Now, my thought is that the flux will just lightly pull it down, because Stroke and Coat is quite stable. Because, and I know this because if you've watched my other videos, I've done testing with Stroke and Coat, and this was pearl white, which is very runny, and it barely ran at all. Like, it didn't move at all. So my thought is if I use Flux Blossom to keep it that pinky tone, then I use Wine About It to create the hearts, I am hoping that it just pulls it down just a little bit. So let's go ahead and, oops, I'm sorry about that. And I also want to do it in one of these little trinket dishes as well, because why not? So I'm going to start with the little dish first. And back to the topic of asking artists for their glaze recipes. If you're somebody who wants to do that, by all means, go ahead. But I am a firm believer that artists who make their living on their craft, so whether it be any type of artist, if you're making your living off of a specific skill that you have learned, my opinion is you never have to share that process unless you want to. And it's not a gaslighting thing, because I've seen comments like that on artist posts where they just say, I'm sorry, I don't give out my recipes. I don't believe that is wrong. I think that's perfectly fine. You make your living on something that you've created, you've put the time, you've put the effort, you've put the money into. And just because you want to do something similar doesn't mean you're entitled to know the process. If you can figure it out for yourself, by all means, go ahead. I also do believe in that. If you want to put the time and effort into trying to learn how they do what they do, but I don't believe that you are entitled to that information. And everybody is entitled to their own opinion, but that's just my opinion. I feel like artists nowadays, especially with social media and stuff like that, have a hard enough time trying to cope with keeping up and AI and trying to do new things and come up with new things that I think sometimes people get maybe pushy. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like when an artist has created something that's beautiful and unique, they don't have to give that information away unless they really want to. And if they don't want to, I don't think it's fair to put them down for it. And I guess if you follow in the ceramics community or pottery community, I think you probably know which artist I'm talking about that has mentioned this multiple times, because they create some beautiful glazes on beautiful pieces that they create, and they don't share any of their glazes. And I don't blame them. That's their living and that's how they make their money. And to just expect to tell people how you glaze things, I totally stand by them that I don't agree with that. I don't agree with just having to give up information if you don't want to. And in my situation, I enjoy experimenting and I enjoy doing different things. And that's my whole thing, is I just want to create. I want to experiment. But if this was my living and I created a glaze out of a couple other glazes or 3 or 4 or whatever, and I didn't want to share that with you, I don't think it's wrong either. I think that people put out what they want to put out, and yeah, I don't know. That's my take. I don't know if that made sense or if that was just like a little rant, but that is my thought, is just that people are entitled to keep information to themselves if they want to. And I think in the long run, for people to do the work themselves, to put the time and the effort into coming up with things for themselves, your work is going to be that much better anyway. You're going to create things that you're happy with because you created it and you came up with it. And yeah, and that's just my opinion. And if it upsets somebody, well, that's fine. But that's just how I feel. I feel like if you share your info, expect people to use it. And if you don't share it, then you're not entitled to it. So anyway, that's the end of that rant. But like I said, I am doing 3 coats of Flux Blossom. And the way I glaze is kind of like batch glazing. I also am terrible. I don't wait a whole long time before I put the second or third coats on. Yeah, I'm terrible at waiting. Anyway, I will do all of the pieces that need Flux Blossom all at the same time so that I can try my best to not have to like clean and change my water and open and close glazes all the time and have 10 million things kind of on the go. I do try my best to do that. So this other little tester dish, I'm only doing 2 coats of Flux Blossom on this one because I am adding some other colors to it. Okay, so there's 2 coats of Flux Blossom on that one. So I'm just gonna put this one off to the side so that it's out of the way. And I'm just gonna throw the 3rd coat on here. All right, so that has 3 coats. Let's put the 3rd coat on the inside here. Okay, so now these ones, I will be adding Flux Blossom on the outside as well. So there we go. And just in my usual wavy pattern, because like I said, this is speckled clay, so I like the look of the raw clay on the bottom. And I want to do this outside a little bit thick because I do want it to pool. Now, the next thing I'm wondering about, oops, goodness. is possibly adding another color to the outside to give it like that really pink color. Because Flux Blossom is pink, but it's such a light pink that I just don't know if it's, but because it's speckled clay, no, I'm just gonna leave it as Flux Blossom. That's what this test will be, just Flux Blossom. The next one we can do it. Because I do have 2 sets of this, but they're not, not all of them are bisque fired yet. So I'm just going straight in with my 3rd coat, even though it's not totally dry. And I know that it's not good. Again, you should wait in between coats to do as I say, not as I do. Don't forget the rim. There we go. So 3 coats. It does look like I got a little bit of. So that one has 3 coats. We'll let that one fully dry. We'll do this one. Okay. So I'm going to let those dry because now we're done with Flux Blossom. Bougainvillea, and I want to do a couple of these things with Bougainvillea. So this one is Ocean Drift by Amico, and it's a brand new glaze to me. And I may do more. Oh gosh, it's thick. It's supposed to be that thick. Wow, look how thick that is. It is a flux glaze as well, but I'm gonna do, it says 3 even coats, but I'm not gonna thin it. I think I'm just gonna leave it for now and just kind of see what it's like with this. So it's drying pretty quickly, so I'm just gonna go straight into the next coat. And I'm gonna put the 3rd coat just at the very top, just to kind of see, because like I said, it's a new glaze to me, and it is a flux glaze, so I don't want to get too crazy with it too close to the bottom. There. And then I'm gonna put 3 coats on the inside as well, but that needs to just dry just a touch. Now, I do think I'm going to do more videos with these certain glazes. I don't know when, but I do plan on doing some glazing videos with just certain glazes. Actually, that's dry enough. We're just going to... So I would like to do different ones than what I've seen before, but it's hard because we all have so many of the same glazes. But sometimes it's nice to just have a different perspective and different firing schedules and different things from different people. So I do have some videos planned, but we shall see. Okay, so I actually just did 2 coats on the inside. 2 pretty thick coats, I will say, with a lot of the little specklies of the Ocean Drift. I am going to do micro pearl on the inside and the outside. And I don't know if it should be done top or bottom, like first glaze or last glaze. So I think what I'm going to do, we're just going to do it on the outside. We're just going to do it first. So I'm going to do 3 coats of micro pearl. So I did 2 coats. I'm going to do 2 coats on this one. Now I am doing 2 different colors with micro pearl. That's why I'm doing 2 different ones. Now I heard that micropearl is a runner, which I'm hoping that I've used micropearl before, but I've used it pretty much on its own. I don't really, I've never, yeah, I haven't really experimented with it. I'll be perfectly honest. I've used it with a couple of the other, the other crystal glazes, but yeah, I haven't done too much with it. So yeah, I haven't done much with it. Okay, so those have 2 coats on the outside. I'm going to leave that so that they can, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to put the 3rd coat. Okay, so that 3rd coat is done. We'll do this 3rd coat and then we'll let those dry good before we put it on the inside. Okay, so we're going to leave that. Now we're going to finish our wine about it little heart mugs, or heart tumblers, I should say. So what I'm going to do, you know what? I'm just going to use the top of the glaze bucket. And I'm just going to put this on top. So I want to use a decent amount. Now on the little trinket dish, I'm just putting it on the inside. So all I'm going to do is just right at the top, a heart, a bump, and then connect the 2. So kind of like that. And I'm just going to do that and then, yeah, no, I'm just going to leave it just like that. So little hearts. Now I am going to go in and put a 2nd coat on because if these do move, I want them to actually, like, I want them to move. If they do move, which they may not, because stroke and coat is really stable, or I find it's really stable, but I am putting these on quite thick. Perfect. So I think that's super cute. So hopefully it works out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing on the cups, except on the cups, they're only going to be on the outside and they're just going to just be random. So they're just going to be like random like that. And I'm not going to do a ton of them. But it'll be the same idea. I'm just going to put more like pretty thick ones on there. And because I am the way that I am, I need to do uneven. I need to do uneven amounts. So I have to do 5. Don't ask me why, but so yeah, I'm just going to do it another thick bit. And like, I hope that they move a little bit, but I don't really want them to move like a ton, but I do hope that they get a little bit of movement. Okay. So those are super cute. Super, super cute. And that's that. So that's what we're going to do for that. Now I'm going to finish the micro pearl on the inside of these couple. Okay, so there are my 3 coats of micro pearl. So we are now done with micro pearl. I think what I'm going to do for the heart mug is it's going to be like an ombre. So I think what I will start with, white on the bottom. And then I think I'm going to put pink on the inside instead of white on the top. I think I'm going to go from like white to dark. I think I'm going to do that. Because normally I would go light to dark. But I think I'm going to go the other way around. And I think what I'm going to use is pearl white. I'm definitely going to have to use a cookie. Definitely going to have to use a cookie. I'm going to use pearl white. Where do we have her here? And I think I'm going to continue the ombre on the inside as well as the outside. So I'm going to do pearl white on the bottom, about this far up, just a little bit. And then I'm going to do fuzzy peach, sunrise, and bougainvillea. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. Now pearl white, it is a runner, but when I find when it's by itself, it really doesn't move all that much. But because I am doing a little bit of layering, I'm just going to keep it a little bit from the bottom. Because this mug, I also didn't put a foot. So I usually have a foot of some kind on my mugs, but this one I just didn't. And I don't really know why I didn't. Probably because I kept the base too thin, to be honest. Now I am going to put it up just a touch farther because like I said, I'm going to overlap everything and get it in to the heart. I'm so happy that this came out. It just came out better than I thought it was going to. I did expect a whole lot more cracks, and I wish that I could have maybe fixed the cracks a little bit better on this one, but it was my mistake as to why the handle cracked. So it was my mistake as to why the handle cracked. So I can't blame anything other than myself because I just let it get a little bit too dry before I started putting it all together. And that usually just spells a recipe for cracks. And it did. Okay, there we go. So with Spectrum glazes, you just want 2 coats. Don't want anything more than 2 coats because you will just get, it just doesn't work as nice. So I am gonna mimic the ombre on the inside of this mug. And I've mentioned this before, I just like the way that that looks when you mimic the inside to the outside. So now, while that is drying, I'm gonna work a little bit with the pearl white on another one of these combos. So this was a dish that had Flux Blossom on it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the pearl white and I think I'm gonna imitate it like the frozen pond. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put dots of pearl white and I'm gonna put it all along the rim here. Thick dots, not thick enough where they like drip. I want to keep them like that because this is Flux Blossom as well, which is a actual Flux Glaze. Well, I think Pearl White probably is a Flux Glaze as well, but it's just, yeah. So I'm just gonna, I'm holding it upside down so that it doesn't drip too far. And then I'm gonna go in with a second row, a little bit smaller, kind of like that. Again, just like the kind of like the frozen pond. And I do have a video planned on only frozen pond. Like all I want to do is a test with frozen pond. So if you guys have any tips on frozen pond, by all means, leave those in the comments because I will take them and use them because I've never done frozen pond. So that's why I want to make a video on it so that I can try it. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to try to drip it like this. So I'm just going to let that dry now. Yeah, so I'm going to do Fuzzy Peach and I'm going to only overlap maybe 1/4 of an inch. So about to there. So again, I don't want to go too far. And I don't want Fuzzy Peach to be super thick of a line either, mostly because Fuzzy Peach has like obviously the peachy tones. So I don't want a ton of that, but I do want it to like mix in. Like I want it to do that kind of like the gap in between the pink and the white with that pastel-y color. And again, just 2 coats because that's important with Spectrum, or in my case, it is important with Spectrum. And then the next thing we're going to do is, because I want to take one of these micro pearls that I did and I want to put Fuzzy Peach with micro pearl to see what it does, because I think that would give it a really nice like pastel-y color. And I think Valentine's Day is all about like the pinks and pastels, and it's like kind of like the starting of spring, so I want to give that a try. So I am just doing a little bit on the top, not much, because again, I don't know how much this is going to run, and I don't really want to wreck my shelves over a dish. So I am going to put it over the whole entire thing. I'm not leaving anything out, and I'm going to do a little bit thicker on the rim. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to do Sunrise next. So Sunrise again is a Spectrum glaze. So we're only going to do 2 coats, and same as the Fuzzy Peach, it's just going to have a small overlap because I don't want too much running, but I do want some movement, I guess. Not a whole lot, but I do want some. And again, you just want 2 coats. I may have actually done 3. But you do only want 2, so hopefully I probably did 3 because I'm a little scatterbrained today. And then I just want to mimic on the inside. Perfect. So that is that. Now I want to do the same thing that I did with Fuzzy Peach with Sunrise, because Sunrise has a really pretty pink. And I've done lots with Bougainvillea. I have a few with Bougainvillea. So I think I'm going to do Sunrise with this micro pearl. So again, same thing. I want to do two coats on top of the micro pearl and just a little bit on the top. There we go. So we're done with the sunrise. And now we're going to move on to Bougainvillea to do the end of this one. Oh, I have some drips in here. Oh, well, that's okay. No big deal. Like I said, my life is a little unpredictable. And instead of finishing what I needed to, I had to go help my other half at our place of business and move shelves. So yeah, like I said, doing a live might be a little bit hard, but if it is something that you guys want to see, again, let me know down in the comments and you can see how crazy my life is. Okay, so now we're going to finish our heart mug, and so our last piece and a couple of these tester dishes. I think I sell them as sauce dishes when I do sell them, and they go over really well because they are something that I legit use, and I'm not one of those to be like, oh yeah, I use this all the time, and when really you don't. I use my little sauce dishes at every single meal because not that I'm like a big sauce eater, but I am somebody who does not like their food to touch. I do not like my sauces to touch my other food. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyway, that's just me. So like I said, I sell them as like sauce dishes or little ring dishes at your sink or anything like that. But I am contemplating, because I do make so many of them and I do so many different things with them. Like I do all my testing with them. They are my testers, and I use YouTube as kind of like, instead of keeping them like kind of like regular test tiles like on the wall and stuff like that, I use them, like I use YouTube as my storage place, I guess you could say, so that it doesn't take up space in my home, and then I can recoup the costs of making them, which is why I also sell them at such a low cost. And again, we're not talking about money on this channel, but I do sell them for a very reduced price, just due to the fact that I use them for multiple things and I get multiple uses out of them. So yeah, anyway. But I wanted to ask, like, what do you guys do with your test tiles? Do you just keep them at home? How do you store them? Like, do you do anything special with them? Because I am contemplating, I don't want to do markets. I really don't. They're a lot of work. They take a lot of planning, and I am a creative person, but I'm not, how do I put it? I'm not the type of person that's creative in thinking about like a storefront or anything like that. And the way markets work now is you need to treat your market setup like a store. And that is not my forte. That's not me. That's not how my creative brain works. So it's hard for me to do markets and feel like I am competing enough to fit in, I guess. And like, maybe I don't need to like necessarily like fit in per se, but I don't want to look like the odd man out with a terrible display. Do you know what I mean? Because that definitely hinders your sales. Your display 100% can hinder sales. And yeah, anyway, but I don't want to make this like, this is my hobby, but I also don't have enough room to keep everything that I make in my home. And I do sell a little bit here and there, like not enough to make this like a full-fledged business. I just don't. But I would like to be able to, again, the dog, always the dog. There we go. Cute. So hopefully that works out like how I think it's going to in my head. And yes, we will definitely need a cookie, but we shall see. And I am excited to see what it'll look like on speckled clay. Because I've talked about this before, Spectrum glazes look 100% different between a non-speckled clay to a speckled clay. They just do. They look very different. Anyway, now that we've squirreled, back to the topic we were talking about, which is me not wanting to do markets. But my thought is that possibly I could maybe do like an Etsy for just these little things that I do, or little tester things, and they would be at a reduced rate because one, I just want to recoup my costs, and two, I can't keep everything. So I don't know if anybody has experience with Etsy or has used Etsy before. I have used Etsy in the past myself, but I've never made it like a priority, I guess. I don't know. I'm very much a hobby creator, so I am very much on the thing of I just want to recoup my costs, and I'm not making this a full-fledged business. But yeah, I just want to know your thoughts. Is that a good idea? Is that a good idea? Or is the market just oversaturated and I just have to deal with keeping all of these things in my home? Let me know. So this is the next one. This was the one that we did with the pearl white dots, kind of like the frozen pond. So I'm just going to put bougainvillea on top of that, and we're going to do, I don't know if we should do 2 coats. Maybe we'll just do 1 thick coat. Yeah, we'll just do 1 thick coat. So this was Flux Blossom, 3 coats of Flux Blossom, and then thick like dollops. And I'm only going to do the rim. I'm not going to make it drop down. I'm just going to do the rim on this one. And yeah, we're just going to make it thick, I think. Like 1 really thick coat. So I want to see kind of what it does. And I don't want to, yeah, anyway, so that one's done. Whoops. And then this last dish with bougainvillea was the Ocean Drift. And what I'm going to do with this one is, again, because it is a flux glaze, I'm going to put it on the inside. And I just want to make sure that when you're doing this, if you find any bits, because these bits tend to like, I've noticed they kind of like flake off a bit. Before you put it back into your bougainvillea, just make sure that you have no spots or no little bits that fell off. So this was 3 coats of Ocean Drift. I'm just going to do 1 thick coat of bougainvillea, and then I am just going to do the rim here, but just not very thick, and just kind of, yeah. There we go. So there is that. Okay, so we are done with our bougainvillea. I don't know what everybody does with their glaze chips, but I am going to do a video on confetti glazing because I want to experiment a little bit with different fluxes and different, with different fluxes. So keep a lookout for that, because I'm thinking that that will come out in the next like few weeks, I think. Because I am trying to do like 1 video a week consistently. But again, it just has to go kind of with my schedule. So next, I did do this one off camera. I did another micro pearl off camera because I wanted to try it with a really stable glaze, which is eggplant. And eggplant again, or not again, eggplant is a new glaze for me. So I'm going to do a couple things with eggplant. And if you guys have any good combos that you would like to share, drop them down in the comments, because it may help somebody if they're looking for a good glaze, or if they've, drop them down in the comments. So what I'm going to do with the eggplant, so I'm going to do 2 with the eggplant. So this one has 3 coats of micro pearl, inside and outside. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put I think it says, yeah, 2 to 3 coats. So I'm going to put eggplant on the top of this micro pearl. And I'm going to do 2. And what I'm thinking is it's going to give me, I'm hoping that it's going to give me some really pretty purples, because eggplant is such a dark color and micro pearl can shift so many of the colors, is what I've noticed when I've seen different combos, is that micro pearl it just kind of totally changes the glaze. So I'm going to do 2 thick coats of eggplant over 3 coats of micro pearl, and then just a little bit on the edge, because again, even though this, from what I understand, eggplant is a really stable glaze, micro pearl tends to not be. So you never really know how they're going to interact. And that's what I like about these little round dishes, is that you get a good sense for how they're going to look on a piece, because you have so many different angles. So like the old test tiles I used to use were just straight and they had some texture. Well, even though these don't necessarily have texture, I can tell how they're going to go on the side of a mug for the most part, and how they're going to go on the inside of the mug for the most part. So yeah, so I've got 2 thick coats on that, and then I'm going to do one with eggplant all over, inside and outside, and then I'm going to put kimchi on top of it, because I do find that kimchi is another one of those colors where sometimes it can look pink, sometimes it can look like a cream, and sometimes it can look orange. And because it does so many different like shifting colors, I thought it might be something fun to try. So we're going to do eggplant, 3 coats of eggplant on the outside for sure. It's drying pretty well, so I'm just going to go straight into the 3rd coat. Okay, and then I'm just going to let that dry for a little bit. So we will come back to that. And I'm also going to do another one with kimchi. I'm going to do papaya, because I did see something online and it looked kind of intriguing to me. So I'm going to do papaya on the outside, and I'm going to do 2 coats of papaya on the outside. Probably do 2 on the inside, and then I'll probably do 2 kimchi on top of that, which might sound like a lot, but Spectrum, sometimes I find you can get away with that if you're mixing the colors for some reason. I don't know why. When you're not mixing the colors, it's like it just likes the 2 coats. I don't know, it's hard to explain. And maybe it's different for you, but that's kind of what I've noticed, is that when you are trying to blend them together, they usually do okay. So I'm gonna let that dry. And then I do want to do a couple darker colors. So I did buy curry. Now curry really isn't like a Valentine-y color, but I think if I add it to something, like kimchi or autumn purple or even bougainvillea, I think I'm gonna add it to autumn purple. And I think I'm gonna do curry first and I'm gonna do autumn purple and then curry on the top, because I also want to do another one with autumn purple and blue rutile and bougainvillea. So yes, we will do that. So I'm going to do autumn purple on on the outside, and I'm going to do 2 coats of that. Actually, I changed my mind. I still am going to do the autumn purple with the curry, I think, because I think it'll bring out some really pretty colors. I'm not. I can do something different. Oh, goodness. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is going to be one of those darker colors. One of those more moodier things, because autumn purple can be either dark, it can be light, it can do some fun things. It's one of those like shifty colors. Okay, so that's 2 on the outside of that, and I'm going to put it on the inside, and then I'm going to do something different. Okay, so I'm going to finish putting papaya on the inside. Okay, so I did put 2 coats of papaya, so that's done. And if you're on the fence about ordering Spectrum glazes, these little mini like testers, like the 4-ounce things, they're perfect for testing because you can get quite a bit of use out of this. So yeah, I fully support buying the testers because you definitely can get a whole lot of stuff out of it. So now the eggplant is all done on the outside, or dry enough that I can touch on the outside. So we're gonna go ahead and put, I'm gonna do 2 thick coats on the inside so I don't get too much glaze in here. Yeah, so I did 2 thick coats. Of eggplant, and we'll let that dry good. And now we're done with the eggplant. So now the autumn purple is all done. So we'll go ahead and put 2 coats of autumn purple. Okay. So autumn purple is done. So these 2 need kimchi. This one is going to get ocean drift. I think that'll be a nice, really like, yeah, I think it'll work really good with the autumn purple and ocean drift. I think it'll be really cute. This one, we're going to do blue rutile all over the outside. And then I'm going to put pearl white and curry. Yes. I'm going to do pearl white dots like I did with the other one, and then I'm going to put curry all over the top. Yeah, I think it'll be really different, but it'll be maybe not necessarily Valentine-y, but it'll be something. It might be because the yellow may bring some different colors out of the blue rutile. Or it could just turn into a big brown blob. So I'm going to do 3 coats of blue rutile. And I also don't know if I mentioned this, but all these little dishes, these ones are all made out of Plainsman 340. So they have no speckle. They have, well, I should say they have no speckle, but they have very little. They have little to none. Okay, so we're gonna let that dry. Now the kimchi ones are dry enough. So now this is the eggplant. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 2 thick coats of kimchi. I am gonna put a little bit on the outside so I can see kind of what it does on the outside of something, like how it mixes together. Okay, there we go. So like that. And then this one is the papaya, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to put kimchi all over on the inside. But with this one, I think what I'm going to do is just keep it at one coat. But same thing, I'm just going to do a little bit on the outside because I don't want it I don't want it to run too much, because I know that the floating glazes, when used together, can definitely create some running. So there we go, papaya and kimchi. So I'm going to put 2 coats of blue rutile on the inside. Okay, so 2 coats of blue rutile. The blue rutile is done. Okay, so now I'm going to take the ocean drift. This stuff is so thick. I'm going to put it all on the inside of the autumn purple. Because this is so thick, I kind of want to only do the one. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do this one thick coat. Yeah, this is so thick. I think I'm just going to put it one coat of ocean drift with a little bit on the outside, and that one's done. So now this one needs to dry just a touch longer. So what I think I'm gonna do, I can't decide if I want to put a matte glaze on this. I think I should, so that in case I do want to actually use it, I can, because I don't think it's, I don't necessarily know that it'd be not safe, but like, I feel like maybe just drinking out of this on the raw clay isn't gonna be enjoyable. I'm not entirely sure. I am really proud of this mug though. Like, this makes me really happy. I don't know. I did off camera, I did put 3 coats of birch, Mako's birch on the inside. I just can't decide. I can't decide if I want to put a matte glaze or if I want to bring, but then I lose how it looks. I have to sit on it for a little while longer because I can't decide. I would just like to leave it just raw clay because I think that that gives it a total better look. I just don't know if it's food safe. So I might have to do some research. So I'll probably finish that one off camera. I'll be perfectly honest. Because I don't really want to make you guys sit here and wait while I contemplate and research and all that. I don't think you want to be around for that, because this is probably going to be a long enough video as it is. Now, where did my pearl white go? Actually, no, I'm going to use dots of soft white, because soft white does cooler things. No, soft white does cooler things to blue rutile than pearl white does. Plus, it'll probably bring out better colors in the curry. And yes, yeah, who needs a notepad and a pen when I can just talk to you guys? Because this has dried just enough. And I'm going to dot it. It's all going to stay right on the inside. I'm not going to put anything on the outside. It's just going to be blue rutile on the outside. All of the goodness will be on the inside. So I'm just going to hold it straight up. And I'm just going to do dollops, kind of like I did, well, kind of like I did for the pearl white, or exactly like I did for the pearl white, because that's what I'm doing. But I am going to try to do it a little bit closer to the top. Okay, but I do think I'm going to do 2 coats. So just like that. Now I am going to do 1 more dot. I'm going to do a smaller dot. I'm not going to do a dot in the middle like the other one, but I'm going to do a smaller dot a little bit down farther. I'm going to do 2 coats. That's the soft white. Now we'll just let that dry. There we go. So just like that. And again, this is something that I want to experiment with more, doing with like the frozen pond, because like when I first bought running hot chowder, or when I first saw the frozen pond technique, I was like, ooh, I don't like that. But then the more and more that I see it, and the more experimentations I see people doing with it, I'm like, wow, this could be really cool. So I bought some, and now I'm going to try it. And I want to try it with a whole bunch of different things. And I've made lots of little dishes like this, because this is how I do all my testing, is with little dishes. And I want to do it on like some vases and stuff like that. I just want to try different things. So I'm excited for all the experimentation. So we're just going to let that dry. We are dry enough. So 3 coats of blue Routel on the outside, 2 on the inside, 2 coats of soft white dots. And now I'm going to put Spectrum's Curry. I'm going to put it all over the whole thing, but only on the inside. I'm not putting it on even like the rim or anything like that. I'm just putting it up to the rim. And Curry is the ugliest color of wet glaze I have ever seen, I think. It looks gross, to say the least, but I'm hoping that it gives me a good result. So I am going to do 2 coats of Curry. Okay, there we go. So 2 coats of Curry. And we hope for the best. So that is the end of this little bit of glazing. I hope that some of these combos, that's better. See me now. I hope that some of these combos are inspiring. I originally had a plan. I had a notebook with all these different things that I wanted to do. And then when I started doing it, I changed my mind entirely. My kiln is teeny tiny. So I do hope that all of these fit in there. They should. I think the last thing that I have to do for Valentine's Day mugs are my sweetheart mugs, but I'm not going to make you sit through watching me do that, because all I'm going to do is I'm going to put stroke and coat on them. I'm going to use Cheeky Pink, Dandelion, and Blue Dawn. And those are going to be for the little hearts. And because it's speckled clay, I'm going to use Amico's Snow on the outside. As you can see, I started off camera. And I'm going to do 3 coats of that, and then the stroke and coats on the hearts. So I'm not going to make you sit through that. You'll see it in the kiln opening. Or if you've already watched the kiln opening, then you'll see them on there. I have a couple more ideas for a few more Valentine's Day things, but I want to see how the wine tumblers with the little hearts come out. And you'll see if I decided in the kiln opening whether I put matte glaze on my tree mug or not. I have to do a little bit of research before I can figure that out. But yeah, some of these are mostly pinkies, purplies. I think in all honesty, I'm the most excited for this blue Routel and Curry combo. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I want to do a lot more of these. This was just a quick video to go with the kiln opening. for these Valentine's Day mugs, and for a couple different options that you could have for Valentine's Day mugs, or something different if you haven't done a lot of glaze combos or you haven't used a lot of pinks, because most of these are pinks and purples, obviously. But I do want to do more glaze experiments. I want to try different things. I know I mentioned Sarah from Three Little Potters before. She does amazing glaze reviews, and I want to try doing something similar, a little bit different, mostly because I don't use different clays. I use two types of clays, maybe a third one, but I really don't like that clay. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. I might have a third clay to throw in there, but it's unlikely. But she uses lots of dipped glazes and does a lot with that. And I don't use any dipped glazes. I use all brushed glazes. So that's where I think I can maybe differentiate myself a little bit, because I don't want to just copy somebody else. I want to, obviously, if I get inspired by somebody else's idea, I want to make sure that I do make it my own as well. So in saying that, I hope that these few combos have inspired you for some pink glaze combos that you can try. And I hope to see you all in the next video. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow so that you can never miss a video, even though they are very long, it seems, this year so far. But yeah, it's hard to edit things out when you just talk and talk and you just want to share all the info that you have. And yeah, anyway, maybe one day I'll get better at that. But anyway, until then, I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.